Basically, the short version of it, states' rights. Washington has no power at all.
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding and making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
In Bill Clinton's Arkansas, some 2 million people remained among the poorest in the nation. Their average yearly income was less than the $20,000 annual fees at the Little Rock Country Club. Arkansas families earning less than $9,000 a year paid nearly 4 times more state tax proportionately. In the aftermath of his 1980 election defeat, Bill Clinton began appearing every Sunday at Emmanuel Baptist Church, which he had never attended so regularly. Throughout the 1980s, the Clintons would enjoy relative impunity from the scrutiny of investigative journalism. The rare independent journalist was soon made an example. Publisher Gene Wergis tried to expose ballot box stuffing and other corruption through the 1960s and 1970s, and was lucky to survive nearly a dozen attempts after he was elected president. Arkansas trooper, bodyguards, and others would testify to his extramarital relations with literally hundreds of women, 12,000 that mercantile exchange rules required. On October 11, 1978, her first transaction netted, within days, a $5,300 gain. Within a week, Hillary had won another $7,800 and $7,200 more only days after that. On Monday, July 19, 1993, President Clinton called FBI Director William Sessions to tell him that he was dismissed. It would be the first time in our nation's history that a president had fired an FBI director. He called a second time a few minutes later. The president seemed to be in a hurry. Time was of the essence. Sessions was to leave the Hoover building effective immediately. The next day, Vince Foster's body was found in Fort Marcy Park, dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Under the assassination statute, the FBI would have been compelled by law to take over the case if there was any question that it might have been a homicide. But with the firing of its director, the FBI was in turmoil, and the Park Police became the lead agency in charge. The Park Service had neither the depth nor the experience to investigate a case of this magnitude, which led many to ponder the question, was it the intention of the White House to limit the scope of the investigation? Vince Foster had been a close friend of Bill Clinton's in their boyhood town of Hope, Arkansas. As Deputy White House Counsel for the Clinton administration, Foster became the highest-ranking U.S. government official to die under mysterious circumstances since President John F. Kennedy. The blow-up photo revealed a dime-sized wound on the right side of Foster's neck, suggesting a gunshot fired at point-blank range into the flesh. The medical examiner at the scene was Dr. Hout. After examining Foster's body, he made reference to a wound on Foster's neck on page 2 of his report. This finding was in agreement with 2 of the rescue workers who testified before the Whitewater grand jury that they too saw a gunshot wound on Foster's neck. Incredibly, in the official autopsy report on Vincent Foster, a gunshot wound to the head is listed, but the wound on the neck is completely left out. In their book, Year of the Rat, Edward Timberlake and William Triplett have connected the dots between the Clinton White House and the Communist Chinese. Some examples are as follows. The Riyadi family, with connections to Communist China's KGB, became the largest contributor to the Clinton-Gore campaign in 1992. Communist agents and representatives of Chinese organized crime were granted extraordinary access to the White House. They had targeted Bill Clinton 15 years earlier when he was an obscure politician in Arkansas. America's defense and foreign policy have been twisted to benefit Clinton and Gore foreign backers, including the Chinese military. Nearly 100 witnesses have either fled the country or taken the Riyadi family is not a public charity. They wanted something for their money. So after Bill Clinton got elected, they sent a letter to Bruce Lindsay, who was in charge of personnel in the Clinton administration, saying that they had invested in Mr. Clinton. What they wanted was for their man, John Huang, to be moved into the American government. And they succeeded. In January 1994, Huang, who had been the area manager for Riyadi's bank in Little Rock, received a top-secret security clearance for his new job at the Commerce Department. Huang later went to work for the Democratic National Committee, where he would have normally lost his security clearance. But much pressure was put on Assistant Commerce Secretary Charles Meissner, and Huang was able to keep his security clearance. The Clinton administration has shown senior PLA officers our most modern military facilities. In 1996, a Costco ship called the Empress Phoenix sailed into the port of Oakland, California, carrying 2,000 automatic weapons that were destined for Los Angeles street gangs. The chairman of one of the two Chinese arms companies implicated in this scheme later had coffee at the White House. In their scramble to secure and maintain power, Bill Clinton and Al Gore have left a legacy of corruption, making unscrupulous bargains for campaign cash, selling out our national security, losing our nation's technical edge, catering to red Chinese agents, arms smugglers, and enabling the People's Republic of China intelligence to penetrate our political and committed serious crimes against the people and government of the United States. Crimes such as accepting bribes from such shady figures as the Red Chinese military, organized crime kingpins, and internationally wanted thieves in exchange for U.S. governmental support for their schemes. Obstructing justice by withholding key evidence, encouraging others to lie under oath, and arranging for others to receive payoffs in exchange for their silence. Aiding foreign powers considered to be enemies of the United States by giving them access to top-secret information, restricted military armaments, and a safe haven on U.S. soil, all in exchange for large campaign contributions.
The Senate blocked a bill that would have created this commission. So I'll issue an executive order that will allow us to go forward, because I refuse to pass this problem on to another generation of Americans. I know some here wish that I could just bypass Congress and change the law myself. I know there's some folks who wish I could just bypass Congress. I can't. Now, I know some people want me to bypass Congress and change the laws on my own. Believe me. And believe me, right now dealing with Congress, but believe me, the idea is very tempting.